Connecticut, it's owed from her income.
Yeah.
And so last year we had to go through, what is it? Her grandfather's son, it's not the same grandfather. It's not like, the same family there. So he did our tax returns last year, and the same number that I thought we were going to get when I did it on TurboTax last year before I quit that whole shit show is the same number he sent me. So I was like, oh, so I wasn't incorrect. Connecticut doesn't, isn't owed any of that. And he's like, no. By no means does she owe a state that she's never lived in, has no association with, taxes on income she earns in a different state. And so I think there's something with TurboTax and like the way that it's.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just putting in,
goes.
Dude, I know a lot about taxes. if you got W-2s, you don't even need TurboTax. I mean, you could print some papers off the website and fill them out. It's not that complicated.
No, but it was. I want to say because we just had a kid last year in October, so that's a big credit. And then you get, I want to say it was somewhere around like 45 to 6,200, something like that, just for basically having a kid. And I was like, oh, after all these credits and you add them all up and then whatever else, I was like, wow, that'll be nice. And then it showed like somewhere around, I think it was like 7,200 for federal. And then it was like 1,200 from Connecticut was owed to me. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
gonna have a good fucking year.
I remember the days of
15 minutes later, I was like, oh, this is fucked.
Ken, you're kind of quiet.
He's suspiciously quiet. But don't worry, he'll give you some reasons on why he's Mr. Perfect here in a little bit.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm pretty okay. Can you hear me now?
There you go. Yeah,
there we go. Yeah, I had to turn my gain. Yeah, I was like, because I just got so. Yeah, I remember the days of getting tax return money. Yeah, fuck you, Steve.
You don't get tax return money anymore?
Dude, fuck no. I think I paid last year. I paid 20.
Yeah, but being disabled, you don't have. I thought your tax situation would have changed.
I don't have to pay property taxes. I don't owe.
Well, I figured that would have helped you.
Are you in Texas?
No. I'm 100% from the VA, so I don't have to pay property taxes anymore. Actually, I just sold my house, and funny story. I had to tell my realtor that, and she was like, "Oh, we have to recoup all those taxes from last year." So all of last year's property taxes I paid was like to the tune of $12,000. Yeah,
that's nice.
I'm getting that money back.
Nice.
Well, send that to me. Send that to me because Lord knows my return looks like shit right now.
as of 4 p.m. yesterday, I am in debt $4,000 total. My whole that's all I owe to anybody across everything. I know, right? Yeah, Mike.
Congratulations.
Does that include the TV that you just bought?
See, that I pay for everything in cash. That's why I told you I always pay for things in cash, man. If I can't afford it, like straight out, and it's not a trip, I don't use a credit card ever.
Oh, that's interesting. I actually just got a new credit card.
You silly.
No, I got the American Express Platinum card.
Yeah.
The one that military gets the waiver for. Yeah. But by accident, and I say by accident, I got I had applied for the gold card because of all the the cash back and rewards and all that stuff, and I thought it was a good idea. And then my buddy called me and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing? You qualify for the platinum. Why don't you just get that one better?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, fair." So I called American Express and I was like, "Hey, I need to cancel that application. I made the wrong one. I need to get the platinum one." Yeah. And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "All right, so can I make sure that the gold card application's canceled and that you guys don't send me one because I don't want it?" And they're like, yeah, no worries. The problem is the company that makes the cards is not us. We don't make them. So that company already has your application. They're going to ship it to you. Yeah. Once it ships to you, just destroy it. You'll be good. Well, the problem was then after I got the platinum card and the gold card come in, I go to cut up the gold card. Well, it's metal. It's a fully metal card. So I go to cut it and I nearly broke my pair of scissors.
You need an incinerator. So
I went and I put it in my drawer. And then with each card, you're allowed one additional user free, and they send you a card for them. Well, I told them I didn't need an additional user because Jess didn't want one. But they sent me one for each one of those cards. So I technically had 2 gold cards, and I have 1 platinum card sitting in my dresser. And I was like, guys, can you guys, what can we do about this? Because I can't cut these fucking things up. And they're like, oh, don't worry, we'll send you an envelope, send them back to us so we can recycle them. I was like, I feel like this is a lot of work.
Go to a welder, just have them welded with a torch welder. Just
yeah, I'd rather just send it back to them in an envelope that they fucking send. That way, if anybody charges anything to those cards or those accounts, which they say nobody can, but then it's on them, not me. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Yeah, thanks. Welcome to his life.
Why do you guys? You guys both look like you guys have like welder's glasses or like woodworking glasses on. What's going on? Blue light
glasses.
Yep, same.
Stops headaches.
It
mine
does.
Are in the drawer. Are you yours, Ken?
No, I stops that eye strain.
Yeah, I got mine from good in here somewhere, but
you notice you sleep better at night.
Oh yeah, 100%. I sleep like a baby. When I don't have them on, I have these like rushing headaches. Like last week, I didn't wear them for 2 days, and I sit in meetings all day, and I'm always like reading and doing math and shit on my computer. And dude, it was rough. I got done. And then Tam was looking at me. She was like, "Hey, are you okay?" I just like, shh. Like I had a headache. I just sat down, and I just sat there. I was like, I just don't want to listen to anything.
Yeah.
But no, before I came in here, I was I had worked out before and then tried to take like a mini nap before my other meeting before this one. And man, that sucked. That was bad. Fuck thrusters, fuck rowing. Yeah, fuck them both. When they're together, it's terrible.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it was a 16-minute EMOM of 8 thrusters at 115 and then 15 calorie row. After the first round, my heart rate was at 165 and never dropped below 170 the entire time. I was like,
do you work out a lot, Mike?
Yeah.
Do I work out a lot? I don't know. How do you define working out?
I don't know. What's your definition?
Yeah. Educate us.
I probably I move a lot. So I have a lot of movement practices. So I'd say 80% of my training is corrective exercise and 20% is pushing it. So I'm 41. I've had a couple surgeries. So having been competitive at one point, I just just a lot of rehab these days. But actually I'm on a 90-day yoga kick. So I signed up for a yoga studio nearby. Like, you know what? I've never gotten into yoga. I'm just going to go 3-4 days a week for 90 days and see what happens. Because the instructors there are really good. They actually understand kinesiology.
What's the name of the place?
YTX Yoga. Yeah, downtown Austin.
Oh, you live in Austin. Oh, geez, you're lucky.
So much now you can see why he got into yoga.
Mike's becoming a hipster.
Yeah.
No, I need to do that same thing. I think my ratio is flipped.
I do that. I also do one power vinyasa flow a week, and that's work. That's work. I mean, I'm tracking my heart rate on it, and I'm putting it in, and then I lift heavy once a week, and I'm restructuring my feet right now. So, like, I lift heavy. I pull heavy deadlifts, do pull-ups, do some heavy kettlebells.
Are you doing a lot of the or any of the like knee over? Is it knee over toes?
Knees over toes. Yeah. He's got some really good stuff. I downloaded his program. I do a little bit of that. I think it's really, really helpful. So I'm like restructuring my lower body right now so I can get back into running. So
why'd you get out? What happened? What did you got a list of injuries like all of us, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's like I could be running, but I know that my running form is not the best. It starts turning into knee pain, and it's like something in my hips not firing right, and then my feet are like, if I run a lot, then the arches start to fall and stuff. Like, I really need to strengthen my arches, which is really it's like a focusing on how the feet look, but there's so much musculature that runs all throughout the body that support the feet. And so just making sure that my feet are doing the work. Like when I'm taking steps, I'm not training them the wrong way instead of the right way. And I think running is like, people don't think about it mechanically much because, you just put on shoes and you put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, it's way more complicated. I think I learned the kind of the right way to run when I was doing this master fitness training in the Army, and they had a
Mhm.
pose running certified
Oh,
instructor there. And for 3
nice.
days, all we did was talk about running. And I was like, oh my God. I had to go through all this, and they were like, "Yeah, you have no arch." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And they're like, "How did this happen?" I was like, "I remember when I was 14. I remember it falling, and I couldn't walk for a day and a half, and I just pushed through it, and that was all she wrote." So now my feet are screwed. I don't know. Is it even possible to fix them at this point if they've been falling that long, Mike?
Yeah. It's. I mean, I've been working on mine. Mine have fallen, and I mean the progress. I've been working on it for consciously for like 7, 8 years,
Jesus, that long?
and I've made progress. Like my toes used to not, my toes used to be stuck together. Now I can splay all my toes, and I can feel the wind between them and all
Between
that
your feet,
mess. Yeah, but
little toe spacer.
there you go. You got those yoga toes.
Yeah. Toe spacers, dude. The toe spacers, I'll be like sitting here at my desk, or like it goes up and down. I'll stand up and I'll just slap in my toes, and I'll stand there and I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah,
really actually nice.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
remember leaving Ranger school, and yeah, they were horrible. They were horrible.
Well, yeah, you're running in boots too, which is just it's totally fucking up your feet.
Yeah, it was bad. I remember leaving, and the instructors, they tell you once you graduate or you leave, recycle, whatever you do to get out, they'll say, "Hey, here's a profile for you." I'm like, "What is that for?" And they're like, "Well, we don't want you doing anything for about 3 months. We want you to, walk, don't go straight to PT, kind of work yourself into your own back to normal, basically." Because
Mhm.
I compare it to, you see someone go in, it's like they went to Auschwitz and came the fuck out. Like, with
Oh,
respect to
yeah.
people that are Jewish, I went in 221 pounds, left 187, and that I looked like a skeleton, and it was rough.
That's what I hear about Ranger School. It's like
Yeah,
you get starved to death. In the
yeah.
Navy, they feed us. May not get a lot of sleep, but at least we got fed, you know?
Yeah, at least you got fed, but everything that you do, Mike, tell us about what you do, like all that stuff. Like, give us some
Oh, man.
insight. I
What I
kind of
do.
read, but
Yeah, it's hard. I do a lot of different things. Um, so one of the things that probably most people know me for publicly currently, like what I'm currently doing, is I consult fitness influencers, people that have really large followings on how to build out a scalable online coaching business.
Mhm.
And so I just partner with people that have like 100,000 or more followers, and I help them build out that business. And it's really fun getting a business over $1 million. And so that's one of the things that I do. I also have like a coaching program. I partner with people who are certifying coaches and like say breath work, or they're certifying them in some type of health related field, and then I teach their students the foundational points of business, because most people get a certification in health and fitness, and then
They call it quits.
like
They're
they're
like,
like, what do I do with this? So I do that, and then um, I've got a personal development program where I've got clients that really want to optimize. They want to leverage their time, their technology, their mind, and money.
Mhm.
And so, because money can, you can work for money or money can work for you.
Fair.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
Technology may,
yeah.
companies may be using you, or are you using the technology to leverage? So I got a little program like that. And then the other project that's worth noting that I'm working on right now is called howtoeatmushrooms.com.
I love mushrooms. Continue.
And so, what kind of mushrooms you like?
It's depend the strain that I'm on now is called Yeti. It's
Yeti.
Yeti,
I've heard of
yeah.
Yeti. I
Yeah,
don't know anything about it though.
dude, dude. You wanna get rid of you wanna get rid of some emotional baggage, you wanna, like, get a good cry session and feel clean afterwards, get in a
Nice.
sauna and take I think I took about 8 grams. I'm up to 8 grams now. I microdosed across a month, 8 grams now, and
Oh, okay.
I'm good. Like, it took me 30
Nice.
days to get to that point, but 1 cap that was like half a gram. the first day it sent me to a place that I didn't want to be, and I was crying like a baby. I'm like a
half a
230
gram's a lot. Half a gram's a lot for a quote unquote microdose.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not
where
really
I
a
started.
microdose. I call it a mini dose.
Ken's not one for moderation.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get that.
It's for cowards.
I doubt anyone here is.
Yeah, no one.
So, is that your first run with mushrooms? Or what's your experience with them?
I've had a run at them for it's been like a year and a half now since I got out of the Army.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's
But keep going. Oh yeah, dude. Like it. I'd say it's put it this way. I don't have to take SSRIs anymore.
Yeah, I think the research is pretty clear now that SSRIs were
it's horrible.
They don't work.
No.
They're not doing anything. They might hide some anxiety or depression, but they're not actually doing anything. Yeah, someone said
yeah, I'll show it back up here again. He was like, yeah, if
I didn't sign a contract, I would definitely try some psilocybins.
It's awesome.
I can comment on that.
Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure they don't test for it.
No, they don't. They can't.
So yeah, it's in and out too. It's in and out of your system. I wouldn't do it like
48, 72 hours.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it the day before a piss test, but you know, if you're on leave.
Yeah, you don't leave, knock yourself out. Like take as many as you want at like 4 days before you sign back in. You're good to go. Like you're straight. You're straight. I don't know. It was more of this thing where I remember from every trip I've had, I think the last two, I was watching Alice in Borderland, and I remember this phrase the guy kept saying. It was what was it? It was like, what's my value? What am I worth? Like what am I actually worth? Why am I here? And the lady kept asking him that and telling him a lie over and over again. And even I felt like I was the character in that show. And I was like, man, how many times have I lied about my own reality? Is this like me lying about myself? Am I lying to myself about myself? Like, what am I doing? And I kept going in a spiral. And then I took a deep breath. I stopped crying. And then I was like, whew, and I started writing. I think I filled up a whole notepad in my Galaxy on what I felt like and why I felt that way. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was, and I thought it had been 3 hours. It was 15 minutes.
Yeah. Sounds about right. I love it. That's beautiful.
It was really nice.
I'm glad you found them and they're serving you well. I stumbled across them in 2013, so 10 years ago, and yeah, I had one of the most. I'm already in hot water for not getting vaxxed. So I'm just reading the comments. I can't help myself.
Oh yeah, rolling in.
But yeah, I used some psilocybin mushrooms 10 years ago, and it was. Up to that point in my life, it was the most profound experience. And I continued to experiment with them. And then that led to trips down to South America for ayahuasca. And
how did you do that? That right there is what I do want to do.
Yeah.
You gotta know
I need some information. I need to know a guy. And now I know
so
a guy.
Easy.
Hi, Mike.
So easy. It's so easy in 2023. So in 2014, I went looking for it, and I found a guy because I was deep into growing my business, so I was going to these business conferences, and my business partner runs into somebody who specifically takes entrepreneurs down to like this one ayahuasquero down in Peru, and he puts together this 10-day event where you sit with the medicine, you go see Machu Picchu and all this stuff, and it was $7,000, and I go. Like, you know what? Like that was more than I was thinking about spending, and I have no idea what I'm doing with this. And it was the best $7,000 I spent up to that point for sure. And it was a gold standard experience because I've sat with 5 different ayahuasqueros at this point, and that really set the standard. Because then I sat with a couple more. I was like, they're pretty good, but now They're just really, really common. You can go online and sign up for a retreat. You do have to be careful. There's some retreat centers I do not like. There's some retreat centers that I love. One that I love is in Costa Rica. You can go to Soltara Healing Center and sign up for a retreat. It's all inclusive. You get down there and they'll pick you up and all that at the hotel near the airport. There's another one, Blue Morpho Tours in Peru, run by Hamilton Souther, and that one is also. I haven't been to that one, but I have a lot of friends that have been to that one. I interviewed Hamilton Souther, which I'll be posting that interview this week, and yeah, I got the vibe that he's about as legit as it gets. So yeah, that's Soltara. And you know what? A year and a half ago, the movie's not out yet. I went down with a group of 10 combat vets to Soltara Healing Center. We did there was a, from the University of Georgia, there was a researcher, and we had to shit in a cup for them. We were doing blood tests. We were wearing wearables like, Garmin watches before and during and after. They were taking pictures of us before, during, and after the experience, and also doing some psyche eval type stuff. They just collected. It was the biggest collection of data for ayahuasca with veterans. And
who were some of those veterans, if you don't mind me asking? Or were there anybody like who's out there in the world that people would know?
Yeah. Now you put me on the spot because I can pull them up.
I'm gonna pull. I think I found it already.
Was one of them Jared Taylor?
No, not Jared Taylor. Jay Castillo. Man, some of these guys have written books. They're not. I'm trying to find like the WhatsApp group I'm in with them. It's been a while since I've chatted with them. But the movie's going to come out hopefully in the next year, and I think it's going to be really good. Brandon Mills, Tristan Weimer, and you know Tristan?
No, I've heard of him though.
Yeah, he's a 22 jumps guy, or 21 jumps, whatever that is.
Yeah, 21 jumps in 7 days.
21 jumps.
I think was the guy.
Yep. Yeah. He's fucking cool. He lives right down the street from me. He lives not down the street, but like in San Antonio, right down the street.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where I am.
Brandon Weiss. Yeah.
And then we got Jeff. I'm forgetting his last name. He's the one that sells. He was the SEAL who he sells the shorts.
Bridges?
No, not Bridges.
Bridges.
And the guy that I enjoyed hanging out with probably the most is Roger Sparks. Roger Sparks, I think he retired a colonel in the Air Force. I'm not sure I'm getting his rank exactly right. He's written a couple books. He's been on a few documentaries. He was a Force Recon guy that switched over to Air Force PJs. So, legit bad dude. And he was just so poetic. That dude.
I remember him. I've met him before. That dude he's the shit. He spoke at our commission ceremony in 2018. Nope, 17.
Yeah. So this was like a pinnacle moment for me, because I got to assist in prepping the guys on Zoom calls leading up to the retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one interaction in particular we have recorded between me and Roger, and and the guy that's making the film like pulls me aside afterwards and goes, "Dude, nobody would do that to Roger except for you." And I was like,
"Nobody."
Yeah, you're right, because I have no idea who he is. It's probably
like what? Like what? I mean,
I confronted
what was the
him
conversation leading? You confronted him on his own bullshit?
Yeah. And then what was really cool about how that came all full circle is during the experience at the retreat center, he had the breakthrough that was specific to exactly what we were going over on that prep call. And it was just so so rewarding.
I mean,
So
what was
rewarding.
what was the topic? I don't want to get into his privacy, but how
Honestly, I have no
major
idea.
was that breakthrough? Did it change his personality from that point forward, or
Oh, I can only imagine, to be
yeah,
honest. I can't speak to it. I'm sure his family. So the documentary is going to highlight all those things because the crew went and visited each guy at home because Roger lives up in Alaska. They went up there and but it really allowed Roger to drop into into his emotions in which he had been really intellectualizing everything because he has a very beautiful mind, very poetic, well
yeah,
spoken, and those people who tend to be intellectual, um, uh,
ball off their
are,
emotions quite often.
yeah, like
Yeah,
we're really good at bypassing,
yeah,
just really
changing
good.
the
Like
topic, just
I'm like,
woo.
yeah, I'm like, I call it mental gymnastics.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
yeah, like, I can bypass this,
yeah.
and you think
That's
you've
easy.
dealt with it. Like, that's the thing is you tell
Nope,
yourself that
nope.
it's not a big deal. I dealt with that. But yeah, he had a really great breakthrough. It was all like everything was recorded, so people get to see that. And so yeah, so anyone there's some other documentaries that are already out in
Yeah,
regard to that. But yeah, if you want to do ayahuasca, Soltara is really good. They've worked with veterans, Blue Morpho Tours,
Blue
um,
Morpho tours. Okay,
bluemorphotours.com if you go there.
I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna type all this in. Blue Morpho.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of times veterans specifically
Oh,
think
Belize.
like, "Oh, they couldn't handle me," right? But
Ugh.
I sat in a ceremony with 10 guys.
Yeah.
One of the guys, I don't know why his name slipped my mind right now. He's you guys probably know who he is. He's big in the fitness world. He's missing a leg. Beefy dude
Mm,
from down in San Antonio. He's a 101st Airborne. Um, Derek. Derek. Uh,
last name. If you say the first names, I'm gonna be like, ah. If you say the last name, I'm like, oh, I know a
Derek Carver. Derek
Carver
Carver. Yeah, you find him on. Actually, I haven't seen him on Instagram
for
lately.
Bragg.
He may have gotten kicked off because he's
He said
super
some.
outspoken.
He said some things that he felt, and he was like, ah.
Derek, yeah, it's called. His name's Derek Carver. Derek underscore Carver on Instagram. U.S. and world champion disabled strongman. So he does a lot of strongman stuff. He did some CrossFit stuff for a while. He was down there too.
How do you spell
Um,
Derek?
Derick.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
Um,
he's not kicked off yet. He's still here, and he's got a blue check mark, so
yeah, yeah,
he's hitting it.
yeah. He so he was down there. So like I'm sitting in ceremony with 10 guys that had killed who knows how many people.
A
Like,
lot.
the stories of them just like going in and coming back covered in blood and shit.
Yeah.
And and I'm sitting there in ceremony and I'm going, dude, if one of these pops off, one of these guys pop off in ceremony, that's gonna be an interesting like I know jujitsu, but I don't know if that's gonna be that helpful,
Outside of
And
that, good luck.
and what if two of these guys pop off,
Yeah,
And
what are we
so
gonna do?
this was something that's like but the thing is the shamans can handle the energy of the room and absolutely no one had any problems whatsoever. And so I mentioned that because I think veterans a lot of times are so afraid of what's going to come up
Yeah.
because they have such a violent past. And so but they're it never expresses itself. The trauma never expresses itself the way in which the individual thinks it will.
Yeah, it's
Because
always you can't control that. I tell people all the time, your actions like I tell my son, I go, you make a choice, you get a consequence, right? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, you can't determine what that consequence is gonna be
no,
necessarily. It is
that's
what it
wisdom.
is, that yeah, I tell him that and I learned that on a mushroom trip, funny enough. And I know I shit you not. And I tell him that all the time. I'm like, Isaac, if you do this, what are the things that will happen? He goes, oh, XYZ. I'm like, look, that's what you think will happen. You have a blanket overview of what will go on. but you don't get to control the consequences of your actions after that point. After you make that action, it's all in the universe now.
That's
Butterfly
right.
effect, man. And yeah, but yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think I'm complete on that. Like, just wanting to help maybe calm down any fears that might exist amongst veterans, and engaging with any psychedelic medicines for healing trauma, depression, anxiety. All of these things are treatable, and there's protocols out there, and you're not going to get it through the VA,
No,
not yet
they gave me
anyway.
ketamine. They did that.
Did they?
They
Okay.
did the ketamine trials, and that was community care, and it was good, but it wasn't as good as me sitting down taking 8 grams of mushroom.
No. Look, the thing about ketamine is I think ketamine's wonderful, but it's not as wonderful as the others. And one of the things that makes it wonderful is that it's available
Yeah,
and it's legal. And, I think that veterans who are coming from like a highly rule-based lifestyle,
yeah.
get a little iffy around some of these things. So ketamine's kind of like the safe way to go.
Yeah, just look at veterans as soon as they get out and they don't have to do PT every morning.
Yeah. Well, I still work out. I'm not fat yet.
Yeah, but that's probably a multitude of. There's possible ADD or ADHD.
Oh,
There's a
100%.
little bit of OCD. There's a little
100%.
bit of everything else mixed in,
Keeps the
and then
depression away.
probably a little bit of peer pressure.
Yeah. It keeps you accountable. I mean, it's the thing about discipline. Like, Jocko says that thing about discipline equals freedom. And quite
Yeah.
honestly, when you look at a child, I look at my son or my daughter and I go, hey, they do things wrong, and they do them with the notion of understanding, should I do this thing or should I not? At the core of what that thing is, that's what they're choosing that's what they're trying to figure out. And it's my job as a parent to go, hey, do not do that because of XYZ. And then they're looking for that discipline. Like, discipline isn't just, hey, I'm going to give you a punishment for something. Discipline is just, hey, you need to do this every time this way because it's good for you. Like, brush your teeth. Discipline. And every time she gets up now, she goes, brush teeth. And I'm like, heck yeah, let's go brush some teeth, baby. And we're brushing teeth now.
Yeah, there's the discipline conversation is interesting because it seems like to me if we were to look it up in the dictionary, I'm sure it reflects this, but there's two different definitions for discipline. One is basically punishment based, like something that's going to be put in place to try to steer you away from it. And then there's the discipline of doing the right thing, not necessarily because you're afraid of the consequence, but just like, I'm going to be consistent and I'm going to show up every day. And like, I have the discipline to make my bed. Like, no one's going to punish me for not making my bed. I'm an adult. I'm not in the military. But when I get up in the morning, I know that if I make my bed, that's going to create more order in my life. That's going to create more order in my mind. And the more order I have creates more freedom. And, I also look at it as just structure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need that much discipline. Like, I associate discipline with willpower. It's like, oh, I have to, like, people think about Jocko getting up at 4 a.m. and doing his workout every morning. And
That's not discipline, by the way.
Huh?
I said that's not discipline, by the way, on Jocko's behalf. In
What
my eyes, getting up at 4:30 in the morning is because Jocko has a fucking busy ass life. To me, that's not discipline. That's just time management. But I can understand, like, if you're going to try to tell somebody else to, like, put physical fitness in their day somewhere, saying, like, hey, do it as early and as often as possible and be disciplined to the craft of it, that's discipline. But what Jocko does by working out every day at 4:30, to me, is not discipline. That's just his time management.
I agree. Yeah, I think that everyone, like, when I started thinking about discipline in regard to willpower, everyone's got a limited amount. But and some people can build the capacity for more discipline. But for me, I just like to build structures.
Yeah. I like to build shit.
I don't have to use a lot of willpower to make the right decision if the structures in my life are convenient. Like, can I make healthy choices convenient and unhealthy choices inconvenient?
Yep.
Well, I can, like, I don't have a television in my house.
You're a brave man.
Yeah, no
Do you have
television.
kids?
No
No, I don't
Netflix
have
and
kids.
chill for you.
Mm.
Jesus.
Yeah, so I have a big like cushy sectional where like it's very communal and can hang out, but the
Yeah.
rest of my house, so I have my desk and then one couch, and the rest of my house is floor seating because it's healthier. So I make the unhealthy things inconvenient.
It really does. And if you follow,
That Kenneth with a pretty decent point there.
it really is. It is. But follow my logic for a second here. You know, you have discipline when you do things. This is the way I think about it because I go, the workouts that I do every day, I go, it's time based. I'm trying to beat the clock. I'm trying to beat something that has never been beaten since the dawn of time. So I know already that I'm going to lose. And as far as beating out the clock, it's going to take me some time to do something. So I go, if I have the discipline to get up and do this thing, all right, I checked one block, I'm good. So that's going to lead me to having more willpower because in the middle of those workouts, like today, I think I got to minute 14 and I only had 2 minutes left. And I was like, dear God, I really don't want to do any more of these fucking thrusts. I got to 5 and I was like 3 more. And I did the last 2, hit the garage door and opened it up and just steam let out of the garage. That right there built my willpower. And then that shaved off time from what I was expecting to do in this workout, in this EMOM. Therefore, it made me fitter. It made me a better human being. So I try to take all those things and go, all right, we're going to start with discipline and end up with results. So does that make sense?
I mean,
Hey,
I think just like behaviors create results, and however you make those behaviors happen, I think that's.
So while we're on this topic, let me ask both of you guys how discipline is considered, I guess, like I don't know, maybe a personality trait of some kind, or just like an aspect of your life other than discipline. What is something, or what is the most important, like that trait that you can have, in your opinions?
Like you go consult a business. What is that? What is that trait? Is that
kind No, not like a business. I'm talking about you in your personal
life.
In your life, what is that trait? Like discipline, that'd be real great for somebody who I'm looking to hire, or just somebody who I'm willing to like team up with in a way. But personally, I have like one thing that I need to see in everybody else for me to really kind of get along with you. But I want to hear what you guys have. What's that most important trait?
To get along with other people?
To get along with them, just to coexist. Like there are certain people like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant were always famous for saying like, if I see any lack of work ethic, or I see in one moment that you're lazy in anything you're doing, you and I are not going to get along. Like you could be lazy at your house with your kids. If I see you being lazy, you and I, there will come a time where we will not get along. And that's like a trait that I don't normally like, but that's also because I have OCD and ADHD. But I want to know if you guys look at.
There's a lot of traits.
But I'm saying you get like there's one at the top of everybody's list.
I say you need to be making progress on yourself. If you're not doing any work on yourself and you've given into this is just the way I am and this is the way the world is and I'm not doing anything about it.
Progressive I don't want to say ideology, but like personally a progressive mover.
Yeah, there's some type of way that people are trying to improve themselves. Like if someone comes to me and they complain about something, but they don't actually want to do anything about it other than complain, get out of here. I don't want to see you.
I like complainers when they immediately follow their complaint with a good idea.
And then that's somebody doing something about it.
Well, time out, because there's plenty of soldiers I've met that come to me and they complain, this shit's fucking stupid, blah, blah, blah. Why are we doing this shit? Why don't we do that? And it's like, the guy in charge is 10 feet that way. I know you're telling me because I'm the next to you, but why don't you go say that really good idea to him?
He's not. Yeah.
And then they're like, Well, you know what they're gonna say, and it's like, no, I don't. Go say it. Like,
no, you're right
no,
about that. Complaining and having a solution, but it does require that you tell the right person, or
not even
you
that.
just
You just
take
have
it
to
on
fight
yourself.
for it almost, because most people come up with a good reason. I had one soldier. We were moving an entire gym setup from. We had gotten them all in. It was I don't know, a shit ton of gym equipment, but it was all brand new squat racks. And we got them in right before Christmas break, so we didn't set anything up. And then our commander wanted to start making this gym out of our cough area. So my junior, we're bringing some stuff upstairs, some stuff downstairs, big lockers, heavy bars, and all this stuff. And he's like, "Wait, why are we putting this shit together? Why don't we just slide it up the railing as one piece?" And I was like, "Dude, just do what I'm asking you to do." And he's like, "But do you understand what I'm saying first?" And I was like, "No, explain it." And then he literally like puts the squat rack on his back, puts it on the stairwell, and it's all metal, so it just slides. And I was like, "Fuck, man! Why didn't you say something?"
I tried.
He looked at me and we laughed about it, but I was like, "Well, thank you for that." You know, it was one of those things where he complained about it, gave me his idea. I didn't accept it at first, and then he fought for it a little bit, and it was like, "All right, well, now you have my attention." So
And,
I know what
you
you're
probably
saying.
have your attention for new suggestions in the future too. I imagine.
He had a lot more of my trust that if I said, "Hey, go get what that lieutenant over there told us to get done. I have to go do something else. I'm placing you in charge of this gaggle of turds. Figure out how to get that done without me having to oversee it."
Yeah.
Now your workload is significantly decreased because you don't have to worry about that thing too.
75-ish% of the time he would get it right. And then 25% of the time I'd either get a call and like, what do we do kind of thing, or hey, I'm not comfortable making that call. And then the rest of it was just kind of hey, we have no fucking clue what we're doing. So Ken, what about you? What's a trait that it's kind of at the top of your list? Whether you need it or you need to see it in others.
I work off of efficiency. So my trait is going to be all encompassing. So if you don't work out, I can't work with you. I just can't. I can't. My supervisor at work now is now working out because I told him that. I was like, look, I don't want to say his name. I'm like, hey, supervisor, I'm like, you talk about all these things and being productive and you always look stressed out. Go to the gym. And I said this 2 months, like every other day. You been in the gym yet? Such and such. You've been, doing, what have you? And he was like, oh, okay, yeah. And he finally signed up. He showed me the receipt and he sent me a selfie of him in the gym. And he was like, well, why were you so adamant on this? And I said, one, it shows you have some self-discipline. Two, shows you care about yourself. And you can't care about anybody else till you care about yourself. And then three, it's going to enhance your ability to just push through really shitty times, because we have a soft line job. I'm an engineer. We do with finances, technology, all that stuff. It's not that stressful, but sometimes you can see him getting red in the face, and I'm like, is it really that bad? I'm not gonna say his name. Is it really that bad? I'm gonna just call him Charles. Is it really that bad, Charles? And he's like, it's really not. I was like, remember that workout you did the other day? He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, yeah, that was hard. That was hard.
Yeah.
And if someone can do that and kind of just have that day-to-day thing going on where they can kind of regulate themselves, just like Kenneth said again, emotional intelligence, kind of regulate who they are and themselves, then you can regulate dozens of other people. Because then you have the wherewithal to go, hey, I can't do all this volume. Like if you have a workout that's high volume, I'm not ready for all this volume. Let me delegate some of it to someone else. Bam, delegate. Or you scale. The delegate, scale, same kind of thing. I like to draw parallels between two things and kind of go, hey, these are similar. They're not the same, but they're similar. So if you don't work out, if you don't at least go on a 30-minute walk every day, I just can't. I can't do anything with you.
Yeah, it's funny because I think I live in a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So
define this bubble. What does this bubble look like?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years, and the the last 10 years, I have I basically stopped running my gym in 2013 and was solely online. So I've had 100% flexibility on where I live. So, where I live in the world and like where I live in a town, I don't need to I'm not forced to interact with that many people that I don't explicitly choose to hang out with.
Yeah.
I don't have coworkers that I didn't hire. Like I am 100% responsible for the people in my life. Like
Yeah.
the times where I'm interacting with people that like I didn't choose is when I'm driving down the road or I'm at the grocery store or whatever it is, and I'm interacting with people for very short periods of time.
Yeah.
And so when I look at my social circle, that's why I said there's a lot of things, is because when I look at my social circle, we all have a lot of similar values.
Yeah.
Like everybody values physical health.
Yeah.
Everybody values mental health. I I am I am cannot think of anyone that I hang out with consistently right now that does not take psychedelics.
Oh.
Um, I
I wish I
like
had
I
buddies.
yeah, like it's just well, maybe at howtoeatmushrooms.com we'll have some type of community where people can find each other.
Have you
But
already built the website?
I've got a landing page. So people can go to howtoeatmushrooms.com and subscribe and get on the email list, and then I'll be sending out like when I launch the site with all the resources. I'm not 100% sure what all will be on the site. I do know that we'll have protocols for different situations, and we're also going to be collecting data. We're partnering with a blockchain based research platform where we're collecting research data on people with psilocybin specifically.
Mhm.
So we'll be doing psych evals. My fiance, she's a psychedelic psychotherapist, so we're teaming up to create some
Does
experiences for people and some research.
does she like to talk? I'd love to, like, sit her on here and just go into it because I know quite a bit about it, how to
Oh,
grow them,
she'll talk to you about it. She'll talk
that's
to you
awesome.
about it. Yeah, she'll school you. She schools me on psychology all the time. It's
Really?
great. Oh
That is
yeah.
so, like, you can't afford to but at what point does it become she becomes a sponge and she has to squeeze out her own sponge?
What do you
I
mean?
always think about that, like, as a therapist, as a psychologist or what have
Oh,
you,
she
like
has her own therapist. She
yeah.
and and
Eh
and I get a lot from her, but she gets a lot from me too.
yeah.
So, but it's rare for me to meet somebody who can introduce me to new psychological models and methods where I'm like, huh, didn't think about it like that before. That's more useful than the model I was working with.
It's yeah, there's a book, you ever heard of Viktor Frankl?
I love Viktor Frankl.
Dude, Man's Search for Meaning, that was
That was
mandatory
the first
reading.
book my
Yup.
fiance gave me.
Dude, that is
We'd been dating for 3 weeks and she gives me that book.
I told Tam we listened to it on a road trip, the first chapter, and she was sitting on the side, she was crying, and I was like, "This is what I had to read before I went to Ranger school," and it made all the difference, I swear to God.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
yeah, my brother went to prison and I gave it to him the month before he was going in, and I'm pretty sure it helped.
Yeah. I don't know how people made it through that. I don't know. I
Dude,
hope to God there is no, like, the Holocaust, man, that was a that from reading that book was like it was a firsthand account of what was going on, kinda like how group mindset or group think can get really, really bad really fast. You're at work.
yeah.
I remember being in the army and you would sit down, you have these group think sessions where everyone's just kinda sitting around complaining about everything with no solutions, and then somebody kinda tail spins into, "We should hate this person. Yeah, he did X, Y, and Z. We should hate him." And then all you walk out of there, you're like, "I extremely dislike Lieutenant so and so or Sergeant so and so." And in all honesty, this dude has demands as well. That he has demands on his life to do X, Y, or Z, and we have to realize that as well. And that's kind of how World War II started. You know, People got together
Yeah.
and went, "Hey, all these people are mean to us, or they have all this wealth," and then bam, there you go.
There's, um there's a book I read last year, called
Wanting.
And
Okay,
Wanting.
I have Audible credits. I need to use them.
Dude, that was one of the best books I read in 2022. For sure. I highly recommend.
Who wrote it?
Let me look if I'll pull up my Audible account because I definitely listened to it. I didn't read it. Man, how long ago did I Wanting by Luke Burgess.
Yep, there it is. See it. Yep.
That is really good. In that book, he has a whole chapter on scapegoats. So, yeah. So, you know, I think very few people, including myself, have really thought about where does the concept of scapegoating come from.
Mm-hmm.
And it's deep in the collective unconscious, right? Carl Jung talked about this. And this is just something that we all have inside of us, that we need to have a scapegoat when things go wrong, right? And so thinking about World War II and what happened with Hitler, what I think happened is, the Jewish people became the scapegoats of the German problems. You know, they had the hyperinflation and they were having a lot of economic turmoil, and you know, the Jewish people were in charge of a lot of the banking, so there's some tie there. It was easy to blame them, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And when a society, when a group of people are going through some type of turmoil, they need to banish somebody.
Yeah. You have to other somebody. You have to other.
Right. And
yeah.
So scapegoat actually comes from Hebrew tradition, is that if you look at the Old Testament, they would sacrifice a goat to cover their sins, so they would like sacrifice one goat and send another goat into the wilderness, right?
Yeah.
Where it'll probably die. And so that's where the term scapegoat comes from, because the collective unconscious wants to put all the problems that exist on this one person or group of people and then banish them. And now in their minds, the problem has been solved.
It's not on our plate anymore. It's like, hey,
exactly.
Let's figure it out. Yeah.
You know, I think in the last 3 years, I could probably give you a dozen examples of how scapegoating has occurred with, with all the social stresses that have occurred.
I think it's also a big piece of it is you all, or I say it's because we have access to information. Information is key. Information and communication. If you have information at your fingertips, you get overloaded with it. If you have the ability to communicate at the drop of a hat, you know, I could send a DM to Tom Brady right now if I wanted to. He wouldn't look at it, but I have that level of input into it. And with that level of input and that ability to communicate, you realize the kind of the collective thought of everybody. You go, oh, there's more than just me having this issue or has this thought. Okay, I'm gonna talk to this person. You start building social networks. I love game theory because you can kind of create your own math to tell a story, and that's what I did. You know,
tell me more about game theory.
So
explain
so game theory. Yeah, I'll explain the concept to you. So game theory, let's say you have a central idea here. So let's go, you have a question. You go, I want to know why I spend too much money every month on XYZ. Or I spend too much money every month on food. All right, cool. You got your central problem. So you're going to branch off. You create a line, branches off to another little node. We call those nodes. Every time you branch off from the central idea, it's a node. It's N1. Oh, not N1. You can look at X1. That's that node. And you go, okay, this thing that I think causes me to spend this much money per month. Okay, I'm really hungry all the time. You go, oh, why are you really hungry? I work out a lot. Okay, workout is one of those nodes. Now, what is the value of that line to the central idea? Okay, we think about the math. We go, oh, X plus 1. You know, it takes X amount of workouts plus 1 plus a value of 1 being the central node because it has value 2. The trip from here to here has 1 value. Bam, we have our equation. So whatever the weight of X is, that's how we get to that. And then you keep doing that. You go, okay, so I work out too much. All right, why do I work out so much? You keep asking yourself why. And you go, okay, because I have depression. Bam. And you value, and you keep going.
I see.
Like that one question could put that many values out there forever. I think in my thesis I had 621 nodes, and I tracked the math for all of them. And I had to use MATLAB to do that. So I learned how to program in MATLAB in engineering school, and it kind of rolled over into my master's. And that way of putting value on a thing, you can kind of solve the problem that you think you have or that you think is going on.
Interesting.
So that's game theory in 10, 20 seconds.
And I imagine that's primarily assigned to problems that are not psychological in nature.
Yes and no. You could use game theory to weigh out the problems that are psychological, because your central problem of, hey, I'm depressed, has different things that branch off from it that you think cause it. Now, what is the weight or value of those things? And you keep doing that and you go, this might be the central thing. But game theory is used mostly for objective stuff, not subjective.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it just sounds like you could,
yeah,
lie to yourself pretty easy.
And, yeah, you could lie to yourself.
Well, the thing is, like, it's a good intellectual process, which works really good for objective data, but for subjective, like, it's people usually can't think their way through their problem.
No,
it being psychological, you gotta like feel through it.
Yeah, you gotta say, I feel this way. And it's kind of the thought process of the worst thing that's ever happened to me is the worst thing that's ever fucking happened to me. Like me, right. It's the last 10 days of SFAS is like the worst thing. That's not the worst thing that ever happened to me, but the worst physical thing that's ever happened to me. I put it that way. And I'm like, fuck, I want to die. Like I like death would be so much better than carrying this fucking log any further. And you're like, well, if I just take it second by second, I'll be okay and I'll make it. And lo and behold, I was okay. Nothing lasts forever. So, I think that a lot of our psychological problems or inability to kind of feel through things is the availability of information, man. Like we have so much. I remember when I was 8 years old, 9, I'll even go to 15. I didn't have Facebook. I got an email account when I was 17 years old heading into college, and I didn't have internet growing up. I got a cell phone when I was 16. Wow. And it was the singular wireless little gray phone that was a brick that you could play Snake on. Yeah. And then the internet happened, and my circle consisted of my family that lived down the street from me and a couple of friends at my high school that I went to high school with. And we went and played basketball, and we ran through the fields and went and hiked to go fish on the weekends. That was it. It was very, very simple, like extremely simple. So I don't know. Does that hold some weight to you, Mike? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I always think about like depression, anxiety, all these things are luxurious problems to have. People in third world countries, you talk to them about anxiety, they're like, huh?
I'm gonna go chase this deer, bro. I don't know what you're
like, I'm just trying to eat. Like, like I'm just working in the field and like working on my house, making sure it's put together and make sure we got some water. And I spent a lot of time in Latin America.
Yeah.
And so I see this, I come in and with, me and whoever I'm traveling with, and we're wealthy AF. And
$500 a month is wealth down there.
Dude, Medellin, Colombia, I can go down $3,000 a month. I can be in a penthouse.
I was there for other reasons, but that's the drug capital. It's bad.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. It is bad. It's real bad. We did a lot of drug addiction down there.
It is. I know a little bit about that, but I'll save that for
another time.
Yeah. But like down there, like you can get your I think we got like this really nice apartment in the top of the building overlooking the city, $1,600 for the month. Go out to like equivalent of a 5-star restaurant and just crushing food, have wine, 2 people, $50-$60 for dinner. Like $3,000 a month, and I'm like high on the hog in Colombia. But you run into the locals down there and perfectly happy. Like I went to like one of the more poor parts of Medellin and spent the afternoon, and these people are just they're loving life, And so they don't. For an American, they would have so many problems, but they don't actually see it that way.
Well, ignorance is bliss, and in America, you have the problems, and you're worried about them because people tell you to be worried about them.
Well, yeah, I mean, most of your problems are just in the mind. Like the mind is what's like we create the problems and then we try to solve the problem. It's like, well, you could just stop creating the problem in the first place.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like a computer that gets DDoSed. Same.
Isn't that very
concept.
American of you, Mike?
What's that?
We're creating problems just so that we can solve them.
Yeah, I think that's a very American thing to do.
Here's a good innuendo. Here's a good example. I live here in Colorado, and I have this. I live pretty nicely. I have a good life. I'm comfortable.
He's poor as
And
fuck.
I have all of these. And I have all of these. Fuck you, Steve. You dick.
I've been to your house. You wouldn't know
bad.
what poor was if somebody took that house from you.
Yeah, I know, right? But that comes from like growing up. My mom made $12,000 a year, man, and I go from here. Yeah, she raised me. She did everything. That woman, if she was still alive today, I would do everything I could to buy her a beautiful home so she could have it in her.
That's
lap.
what a good tax return looks like, and after that, it's downhill.
Hell yeah. I grew up on a farm, and the kind of the basis of what I'm saying is I go back to Tennessee, and I don't have a worry in the world. No one down there looks like they worry because they still live on the same land. They grow most of their own food. Only thing they go to the store to get is like occasionally some meat, but even still, they still raise pigs and cows. So who really has it worse? The dude that's worrying about every little thing that goes on in his life, or the people that don't even know what those worries are?
Now,
Yeah, the closer you get to the center of a city, the more problems you have.
Fuck yeah.
Now, would you be the guy who accepts those extra like constructed worries, right? But you make enough to see what the rest of the world is like and what the rest of the people in the world worry about, per se? Or would you rather be that person in Tennessee who, no offense, but can't afford to know what the rest of the world is like?
So don't get it confused. I don't ever want to be that poor again. I remember when before I got in the Army, I was on food stamps and I had a job that paid me $325 a week. And I somehow made do until 6 months later when I had to I forget what they called it. It was like deferred something because you couldn't go straight to AIT or basic, straight to basic right away. It was like a delayed entry program. Entry program, yeah. Don't get it twisted. I don't want to go back to that. But the reason why I go out and I elk hunt, or I go out and I deer hunt, or the reason I go out and I go in my garage or I go to the gym and I basically beat the shit out of myself is because that's the only point of reference I can get back to being in that poor state. And as long as I don't forget what that poor state feels like, a lot of people forget that. They go, oh man, I was here and there. They forget where the fuck they came from. And I'm trying to make myself never forget that on a daily basis. I try not to.
The poorer you are in today's world, the closer you are to what human nature may or may not have been intended, in its actual natural state. So therefore, you would just be closer to your roots.
Yeah,
I think it depends. I mean, if you're inner city and poor, there's food deserts in the middle of these parts of the city where you can't find produce. You're gonna find processed food. That's not healthy, dude. The poorest people in the U.S. have big screen TVs, 500 channels, air conditioning, and processed food at their fingertips.
Now, why you got to throw me under the bus like that?
Huh?
So why you got to throw me under the bus? I'm looking at my big screen TV. I have my air conditioning, and I have access 5 seconds away from my apartment.
Everyone has access to more access to being unhealthy, right? It's so easy to be unhealthy in the U.S. anyways.
But that's what I'm saying. The poorer you are, especially in the United States, let alone the world, the closer you are to what human, Homo sapiens as natural, being on this planet were originally supposed to be.
I don't know.
Well, we were made. So I have the idea that we were made to make shit. We have thumbs. That's our excuse to make shit, and we're just gonna keep making shit and trying to make it better the entire time. I literally work with okay, so we have all these projects. We don't track all of our projects. Well, And then we just realize we have hundreds of projects that are doing the same thing. We just keep making shit because we have the money to make shit and thumbs.
But I don't mean it necessarily at like the were we supposed to build or were we supposed to evolve or whatever. I'm saying when the story of Adam and Eve, right? At that time, this is what man is. Man lives off the land. Man coexists with one another, that type of stuff. Where the poorer you are, and especially in the United States, the easier it becomes to get to that point where you understand who your real brothers and sisters are, who family is, what the aspects of like masculinity versus femininity is, right? What is your bottom line? What is your natural job on this earth, right? Men
I would agree with you. Like
certain things, right? Women to bear children, etc. The poorer you are in the U.S., especially, the closer you get to that.
I think you're more accurate if you're talking about globally.
Fair, because I mean, I guess
like nobody in America,
homeless people are not trying to get back to
like poverty in America is wealth in other places.
Very true, but that's also because our city council people pay our homeless people.
That's in California.
They can afford to have an iPhone and a fucking coffee grinder in their tent with a generator.
You're in San Francisco. That's the truth.
Hey,
yeah, like San
by
Francisco,
the way,
Austin figured it out.
Ken, you should have fucking moved to San Francisco. They're giving reparations to everybody.
Bro, I don't look. There's a
it's supposed to be $5 million. All
right,
black
you open that up. All right, let's talk about this. If half the population of the United States, which is around 450 million now, I was wrong the other day. I said 356. 450
it's up
million.
to 450.
Yeah, we're around 450 million now. Now it's a lot,
especially once you include all the immigrants.
5 million of that is not even equivalent to what we owe from the debt relief package we gave back in 2008. So how are you gonna, if you give that much money, we all, like, I know how inflation works. If a lot of people are rich at $5 million and no one chooses to work a job that was working those low paying jobs, there's going to be shit in the street. It's going to be a worse problem than what they had to begin with. Like, I understand that they want to do this right thing as far as reparations, but it's not feasible.
They don't want to do the right thing. They want to do the popular thing.
That's why I said right. Quote unquote. If everyone know, I'm holding up two quote unquote fingers.
It can't be considered the right thing considering California was not a state at the time. They didn't have slaves other than they're giving it to the wrong community, to be completely honest. Can either one of you guys name me the community that out of California probably deserves some reparation?
Community.
No.
Who? Go ahead.
Just think about it for 5 seconds, Ken. I'll give you 5.
Oakland?
4.
Oakland or something?
I was going to say Chinese.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
the concentration camps that we had over here when,
Not only that, those motherfuckers built half of our fucking railroad.
The railroad.
Yeah, they did.
Shanghai fucking Noon had Jackie Chan seeing half of his fucking countrymen. And the princess was in the fucking area, and they were all like, no, don't say anything. Next thing you know, the whole fucking railroad is bowing down to this chick 30 miles downwards. They can't even see her.
That's
that community. Sorry, my dog's having a nap.
Oh, you're good. That right there, like I didn't go through slavery. I'm suffering the effects of slavery through systematic racism, like systemic. Yeah, that's a thing, 100%. I don't care if it, like, take for example the cops that beat the black dude to death. They were all black and one was white. Look, a cop's a cop. You did wrong. Yeah. Either way it goes, the basis of that systematic racism is power. And if you think you have more power than somebody else, you're gonna try to exercise that. We're monkeys at the end of the day. We are monkeys that have thumbs that decide to stand up on 2 legs and go, hey, I'm gonna set up a government. I'm gonna ask these people if they want to, follow me. And lo and behold, you get enough people to follow you, you're in charge. So,
government's not set up by asking people to follow.
Yeah, it's not. Now it's making people follow. It's like, hey, we will arrest
under
you.
Threat of violence.
yeah, we will make you follow. But dude, that's not going to fix it. How about you take that money you're going to get for reparations? You go make sure you build really good schools in these fucked up neighborhoods. Make sure they have the ability to have renewable energy, a form of or free utilities for a year. You'd be crazy how much that would help out. Or hey, here's an extra $15,000 a year for you guys to buy food. That's not $5 million a person, but that makes a huge fucking effect. I promise you.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the main problem with all of it is you can't do it on a local level because predominantly, right, half the nation wasn't in existence. So you're just giving it to people saying that, hey, your journey out, like you could make the argument for all the people who moved west and be like, hey, you deserve reparations for all the times that fucking people tried to take your family's land. And there was no law, there was no order. And we were still the United States at the time, and everything to the Pacific was still under the US. But we didn't have law and order from Montana all the way to Oregon. You can make the same argument because families still had to go through some shit. Now, is it slavery? No, but there wasn't slavery in Oregon. So how are you going to give that money to those people? But that's not the one that kills me. The one that kills me is where we now have it's not systemic, but we now have this idea that excluding races somehow brings people back together. Like you can exclude all white people from something. You can exclude
I get where you're
certain
going.
minority or other groups from something based on the actions of like one or two people.
We went in
40
one whole
fucking
circle,
years ago.
Steve. Look at you, othering. We're right
But
back.
now I'm saying, like, there's been times where Chinese people were excluded or just Asian people in general, right? And then you have certain people
Irish.
back in the Irish, the Italians.
Irish.
Everyone forgets about the Irish.
Yeah,
everybody
the Irish
fucking forgets about
the fuck up.
The Italians, for that matter. Like the Italians
Mhm.
had the mafia, but they only set that up after the fucking decades of getting ran out of every city.
Just like gangs in LA.
Gangs in New York.
Bloods, Crips. I mean, it's all the same. Everyone looks at it through this lens of basically it's, hey, who's gonna vote for me?
But
what can I do
now
to
I'm
get people
saying
to vote for me?
I'm saying though nowadays it is interesting how there's even in schools, like most colleges are like, hey, we're only gonna have this is a black student only class. It doesn't matter what it could be math, right? But it's like, hey, this is for black students only so that they feel comfortable. They feel good. It's a form of segregation in the hopes that it brings people together. We now have the ability in this country with such first world problems to come so full circle that we're now overlapping the circle. And we are now saying, hey, if we segregate, if we exclude certain races or groups, gay, straight, by color, whatever the fuck you want to go, that is somehow going to make up for, or it's going to make whole certain problems.
But
and we delusionally think that is how the world in the mind works.
Yeah, there's I like to break this down. So like whatever happens psychologically also happens sociologically. Like there's like all these, like you can apply CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, to an individual, but it also applies to masses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I think about if there's two people, say there's a couple of brothers, right? And one brother is doing really well and making a lot of money. You don't lift the little brother up by allowing him to tear the big brother down, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't like telling the big brother that he's not doing a good job because the little brother doesn't feel good about himself or isn't experiencing the same opportunity or isn't making the most of the opportunity that exists. It's not actually helpful to the little brother. If anything, you're actually doing harm. And so I think the same thing
crippling
happens.
him.
And it instills it's teaching people to stay in a victim mentality. And this is why I think that a lot of this is why a lot of people get into the conspiracy theory type of idea, is because
Go ahead, do it.
you go, it seems like it's on purpose. Because like if you were doing it on purpose, like othering everybody and telling people that they deserve reparations or whatever it is, it's teaching them that they're a victim. And when you start looking at yourself as a victim, it's very hard to take on personal responsibility, and personal responsibility is the key attribute to being able to make a difference in your own life. And so when you're training an entire population, and these kids are in school at 5 years old and told that they're a victim,
No.
then it's one of those things where like somebody who has like this bleeding heart that's not using their brain,
They're just thinking
they
based on emotion only.
yeah, like they associate emotional discomfort with physical trauma is what people are getting confused with.
Hey, words are physical violence, guys.
That's what my ex said to me 2 days ago. She was like, "That is abusive." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's the truth. You made
Yeah.
these mistakes. This is what you did." Like, I don't support a victim mentality at all, because I could have laid down at any point in my life and been a victim and said, "You know what? I didn't have internet growing up. I shouldn't
Yeah.
go to college. You should just give me welfare and support." I know people that have done that. I chose not to do that. Be it consciously or subconsciously, I just didn't make that choice. And I learned earlier this year that my son's school does not, they teach about the Civil War, but they won't say anything about slavery. I'm not
Really?
telling you to, I'm not telling you not to touch the subject. I'm telling you to touch the subject, but don't make him feel like he's owed anything. But people need to know what happened and what we learned from it. That's the
Right.
only basis of history. Like, just talk about it. Just you can't pretend the shit didn't exist. Germany's trying to do that now. Like, well, the Holocaust is going to skip over. No. We all
Yeah.
fucked up. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
The real problem there is that we did not fuck up. There are
Well, yeah.
people past and gone who fucked up,
Yeah.
who paid their sacrifice. Yes, is it extremely horrible? No, is it my fault?
No, it's not your fault. Yes,
No, of
it's
course
not.
not. But that's what I'm
That-
saying.
Yeah, like, I don't like when people blame other people for what their ancestors may have did. For all I know, one of Steve's great 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 grandfathers probably owned one of my people, and that's how I'm 11% Wales and English. We covered that one on the last podcast, and he was like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, "I already knew this, bro. Look at these eyes. You can't tell." And my gum line is pretty non-receding. So,
But now another aspect of that I recently heard was our country's only been around for 200 something years.
Yeah.
So if you go back 5, 6 ancestors ago, right? You hit about that timeline for me.
Yeah.
If you go back any farther than that, you might be onto something, right? England, North, or whatever Germany I was in, that my family comes from. That's a different country. So do those reparations come from that country now?
Yeah. That's the problem. Why is the United States, forking out the dollars for this? But that's a complicated thing. But funny fact, 45% of Americans cannot afford to heat their homes in the winter. So how
I
are they
turned my
doing it?
heater on the other day and it started smoking in here.
Yeah, that's bad. That's really bad. Like, lighting candles in your room, in your house, turning on the stove and opening it, like a gas-powered stove, and opening to keep warm, what we did as children. Like, no.
Done that.
You should not do that. You should not fucking do that. That's really bad for you. Burning candles alone. My grandmother had a wood burning stove in her home, and it was at the point in time, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Carbon monoxide, dog. It's killing you slowly. But if 45% of Americans can't heat their homes, and we're like, oh, we're the greatest country ever, we don't have any problems, like, we should, hooray, we shouldn't fix anything. We can give reparations, though. Take that reparations money, divvy it out across the country, and, like, literally go to the utility companies and go, hey, we're going to subsidy you $50,000 per multifamily home that you heat, and we're just going to give you this give you this money. So give them a break. That would help a lot, because that, I think, way down the line, I go, all right, you're allowing these families to heat their homes now in the winter. That means that they can afford to buy more food. That means that kid is more nourished. Means that kid can focus more in school, or that adult can focus more at work. And now you have productivity. You get a higher, you get a raise, or you get a better job. Bam, you're out of the circle. Let's keep doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is exactly why a lot of people are making a push for universal basic income.
Yeah, but that's a rough one.
I agree. I'm curious what's rough about it to you.
To me, what's rough about it is that when you give people things and they don't have to work for them, you know what happens? They get lazy. I'm not saying everybody, but there's a certain percentage that's gonna go, I'm just gonna live off of this, whatever.
Well, I think that's what it's coming down to is like the idea that robots and AI are going to be managing so much of the labor. So, for instance, truck drivers. There's, I think I was reading an article. I think there's about 3 million truck drivers in the United States. That's how many truck drivers we need for our supplies to get all over the place, right?
That's a lot.
It's a lot of people. It's a
Mhm.
lot of truck drivers, right? You know any truck drivers?
Yeah, my uncle, James, he used to be
Okay.
a truck driver. He retired 4 years ago,
Yeah.
like 70.
My brother, he employs some truck drivers, and we talked about this. And he what the discussion we were having a while back was that a lot of these guys are very happy driving trucks and driving
Mhm.
around, but they don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
They they and there's a documentary on this too where they were interviewing truck drivers about what are you going to do when the self-driving trucks come around. They're like, well, I'm just going to do my best until I get there. And they asked them if they were doing anything to learn a new trade, and almost everybody was like, nah, I don't feel like it. And so this is one industry. So which is what we got 450 million people in the
Yeah.
country. So that's what about 0.7%.
Yeah, around
So
0.7, 0.82, I think, if I'm that was
0.82%.
some fast math. My bad. Go ahead.
That's all right. And then that's one industry that's going to be displaced probably in the next 5 to 10 years. I think it was Lay's and Coca-Cola bought their first trucks from Tesla this last year.
Mhm.
So, in the beginning, they'll be riding along in the trucks, but they won't be driving them. They'll be there to ride along. And then in 5 or 10 years, there'll be a lane just for those trucks, and we won't need truck drivers. And how many industries are about to go away? I mean, I do a lot of things in the internet marketing world and online, and the AI technology. I play with AI quite a bit.
Oh, Chat GPT.
I play with that and some
It's
other
fun.
things. And projects, like I can launch a brand in a few hours with the help of AI. That
Jesus.
Yeah. And the copywriting it's putting out, I'd say it's it's mediocre. So it can't
Yeah.
write as good as I can write, but dude,
It's
it's
pretty good.
new. It's pretty
Yeah.
good, which means in 2, 3, 4 years, it's gonna be really good. So a lot of creative labor is going away, technical labor is going away, physical labor is going away. And so um the the people that will maintain their jobs they're going to be craftsmen, people who are like making like really extraordinary pieces
Original
of,
stuff.
yeah. And people that are interpersonal, have developed themselves as a leader, interpersonal skills,
Leadership,
something like that.
management. Yep.
But technical labor and most of physical labor, almost all technical labor, like
Coding.
bookkeepers, that's
Yeah.
going that's going away.
Yep.
And then a lot of creative labor, art, creating graphics, like AI is going to be doing all that in the next few years. It'll
Lenza's
make a
doing a good
video.
job.
Huh?
Lenza. Yeah, the app Lenza that
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
all the art is pretty cool.
It's crazy. So all these people are going to be out of work, and what are they can't pivot into something new. They're going to learn like what's that many people pivoting that fast. I don't think universal basic income is the answer. I actually think it's going
I
to
I
collapse
have
the
an
system
answer.
if they do. All right, what's the answer?
I have an answer. Is what so I'm a subcontractor to a I'm an independent to a
Yeah,
contracting company, so I don't follow any federal rules at all. I'm kind of just my own dude walking around doing stuff. Um,
free
I
man.
noticed I'm trying to be free, man. I will not like they keep telling me go federal. I'm like, nah,
Nah,
fuck that.
nah.
I like weed too much. I'm good. But yeah, the solution is, and I've noticed us going more towards this direction, especially from like a Department of Energy standpoint, is workforce development. I have a project now that I can't say the name of the entity because I have an NDA on it and everything, but they are doing a BIM model of homes. So you say, hey, I want a home that's this many square feet by this many square feet, this many bedrooms. I want it made out of this material. And it spits out everything. And it tells you how much the labor is going to cost, who needs to do it, what happens if they go under or over schedule. And that used to be done by a prime contractor, like a project manager sitting in a desk. And then they have another project that goes into so you have an AC unit at your home, right? AC and heating. And a dude comes out and fixes your problem when it happens. You call, you get on the waiting list. They go, oh, between 2 and 4, a person will come by. You're like, oh, well, fuck, okay. We have a project now that's successfully, they're at 100% build and 100% like efficacy rating. They have an application that gets the code, that troubleshoots itself, works through your Wi-Fi, sends a code to the utility and says exactly what's wrong. There's no need for anybody to go there and diagnose any further. They go there, change the part out, done. Or they change the software, done. And that software can be done remotely through a computer. So if people don't try to diversify their portfolio, well, I've been telling people this for a long time, don't be just good at one thing. Well, don't be great at one thing. Be good at a whole bunch of shit, because you never know when the next, hammer might fall. So I think that if we divested more or invested more money into workforce development, even with people that are service workers, like, okay, you're a waitress, but we want to, give you an extra $25,000 to send in our treasury coffers to give you some money to go towards getting your MBA, or getting a bachelor's in, leadership or something.
Well, here's the hack I suggest to people. Real estate.
Yeah.
People think they need to have money
to invest
in order to get it, but you don't. There are programs out there that will teach you creative deal making that you'll be able to, like, I have bought and sold 2 houses in the last year, and I put no money into them at all.
And you made money.
And I made money, and now people are paying me. I own the note, and for the next 30 years, I'll be getting a payment from somebody. Yeah. They own the house. I own the note. I became the bank. So everybody needs a place to live, and anyone can learn that skill. The thing is information is unlimited, and if you want to learn how to do that, you can figure it out. Yeah. If you're not interested in that, and this is where there's going to be a divergence in the population. There already is a divergence in the population, but some people are going to be like, some people are paying compounding interest. Other people are making compounding interest.
Yeah, that cool fuck. Remember that compounding interest formula from grade school? I remember that thing. P something. Oh.
You're an engineer, so you think about it differently.
I can't remember. Yeah, but I remember. I'm just saying the return of the rate that you would get off of that is crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, I got 2 notes where I'm charging 9% interest on a 30-year loan.
Oh, you slippery son bitch, you.
Well, the thing is, I'm financing people who cannot. They wouldn't be able to get it from the bank.
That's.
They don't have like the house I'm selling a guy to. He owns a tattoo shop. I'm pretty sure he's done some time, and he was able to show me some proof of income, but he didn't have 2 years tax returns. So
that could be problemsome.
That guy's not going to get a bank loan.
No, 100% no.
That's why his interest rate's 9%, right? I'm charging a little bit higher percentage. I mean, the average mortgage rate that's being offered right now is 6.997% anyway. So I'm just going 2 points above that.
Bam. Here we go. I think that's it. I think we just solved it. How much money you make? 9%.
Oh, you're gonna oust this guy just like that?
No, I'm not ousting him. That's total cost. So yeah, that over 30 years, that right there, interest collected, dude, that's amazing. So that divided by 30. So
Yeah.
Doing some math here on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Jesus. 22 grand a year. No one would hurt for that. No one would shuck away at that and go, nah.
Exactly.
Dude,
I
that's
use somebody
awesome.
else's money to buy it.
Yep.
And then I mean, it would take me an hour to describe how it actually works, but there are ways. You have to learn a whole new thing. Like I had to learn a whole new way of thinking about business. It's a whole new industry. There's so many things I had to learn. But after you learn it, it seems ridiculous not to do it. You're like, oh,
Yeah. You're like, there's not a lot of risk. It's
every person in the United States has the choice to become that. They have the choice.
Yep.
All they got to do is invest some time and some energy, and they can make it work. I know some investors who, when I talk to them, I mean, they still got the like from the hood slang in their voice, and they are knocking down big bucks. Like they didn't come from much just from the way they talk. They figured it out. Like everyone's got a choice. And so
consequences, see?
People are, there's just the warning online. If you listen to this, you find yourself in a tight situation. Like, you have a choice.
Yeah, you have a choice. Yeah, you do.
Yeah. You can go learn a skill that earns you compounding interest. Are you working for money or is money working for you?
True. That's what I'm learning now that I'm out of debt. I'm like, I know what I'm about to do with this extra X amount of dollars. It's quite a bit, but extra X amount of money per month. I'm going to start investing in something. Kids that didn't have to work for it. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, look at the people in the contracts. That's fair.
That comment he was talking about kids that didn't have to work for stuff. I've had clients. So I've had clients where they grew up with a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
Their parents were rich AF, and their biggest problem is that they never had to work before, and like the things that are traumatic to them are so fucking minuscule. Like they can't handle shit.
The worst thing that happens to you, man, is the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
Yeah, and well, what's interesting is going back to like say, people are like, oh, that kid grew up with money. He's so lucky. I'm like, that poor bastard.
Yep.
He was like, I bet if you go out there on the streets in Austin, you can still find them. Go talk to the homeless and find out where they came from.
Had a lot of money.
You're going to run into some that came from some money. I promise you. I've done it. I've gone out and I fed the homeless. I talked to them about where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
They made a choice at one point and they ended up on meth.
Yeah. That's why I keep telling my kid that like choices have fucking consequences.
Totally.
Good, bad, or indifferent. That consequence is coming for your ass. It is coming. And you need to do your best to think and plan ahead and go, okay, this is my risk assessment. That's the one thing, what the main thing I took from the Army is, deliberate risk mitigation and then risk management and then risk assessment. And I go, okay. And then when I got my master's, it was all risk. Like, what is the risk of this happening? And I go, okay, cool. I remember playing the game Risk. And I go, all right, if I choose to smoke crack right now, I'm probably going to get addicted to crack. And I'm probably going to end up blowing a dude for crack. And I probably won't have any money. So I need to do what? I need to not blow dicks for crack. Okay, how do I get to the crack in the first place? Is I make poor financial decisions or I don't go and treat my depression with someone that knows more than me. Let me go try that so I don't end up with a mouthful of dick.
The day I got out of the Navy. So I get out of the Navy. I'm in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
And I go buy some weed off my friend.
Oh, jeez.
So I go get some weed.
Jeez.
And my roommate, he's still in. So I smoke some weed. I get high. And then we go to the Mexican restaurant next door. And I am so paranoid. I'm just like,
you smoke sativa. You did the wrong thing.
Yeah. And then we go out to a bar, and then I'm like starting to. I was like, oh, I gotta have a drink to take the edge off.
Oh fuck.
So by 2 a.m., I'm at this bar in Virginia Beach, and they're closing the bar down, and I'm in the urinal, and I'm drunk, and I'm hot. I'm out of my mind.
You're like, fuck me, I'm
This guy
cross-faded.
goes, "Hey man, across the street we got a hotel party going on. We got a bunch of girls over there. You want to come over and party?" I was like, yeah, let's go. Dude, I get up there. I get up to this hotel room. By the way, I ditched the girl I'd been dating and my buddy.
Oh fuck. Oh fuck.
As we're walking out the bar to go up to this party, I go up to this party. And by the way, I didn't make a lot of good decisions back in the day. I go up to the party. I get inside, and there's a few dudes passed out on the floor, no chicks. And I'm like,
the fuck?
I'm like, where the girls? And he goes, oh, they're on the way. I'm like, all right. And then he whips out this pipe and he hands it to me. And I'm holding it in my hand. I've got a lighter in one hand and a pipe in the other. And I go, like, I'm about to light it. I've got it close to my mouth. And I go, it's weed, right? And he goes, nah, man, it's crack.
Fuck no. Fuck that.
Like, what the fuck?
No.
I put it down. I run out. I grab my phone. I call up my buddy, and
come find me, please.
I'm like, bro. He goes, it's all right. We're in the parking lot. Just come down. Like they were just they were waiting on me to stop. And
that's
dumb.
the thing. That is the thing I tell my son. He's 13 and he does like stupid shit, like takes things from the cupboard without like asking, or takes all the things and not just one thing. Like fruit roll up debacle of last weekend. Like not this like weekend before last, he was like, he took all the fruit roll-ups. And I'm like, why'd you take them all? He's like, well, I wanted to have snacks to take back home to my mom's house. And I was like, what the fuck? It broke my heart in the beginning. And then the other part, I went, okay, this is a learning lesson. Like, you don't need to take all of this thing. Everything here is free. Just get enough of it. And when it's almost done, when it's almost gone, tell me what's almost missing or almost out. And that's what I'm talking about, consequences and choices, man. Make right choices. One choice you make could change your entire life. And it will take you 30 years old, hopefully not on the street smoking crack, hopefully sitting down with a therapist going, when I was like 13, 14, I just wanted to take shit for no reason. All right, cool. Let's address that. Let's talk about it. So, smoking crack. I remember going to Austin in 2016. I was in Bolick, at Fort Sill. We used to make these day trips down to Dallas. So I went to Austin. I think, 5 times I was offered cocaine. Just 5 times off the bat.
And 5 times he accepted.
I declined 5 out of 5 times. I was like, I'm walking into a good paycheck now.
You don't want to do cocaine in the U.S.
It's cheap. And it's not cheap. It's expensive, and it's the worst high.
It's expensive and it's not great. Yeah,
it's not great. Take as Mike just goes, it's not great, bro. Steve's like,
I'm just looking at my child that won't shut up.
That's fine. See, welcome to
I
being
apologize from this.
I told you that.
I've missed like 3/4 of this episode just because he's sitting here. He's on the verge of sleeping, like the eyes are shuddering.
FOMO.
And every time I click unmute, right back up.
Yeah, it's FOMO.
Doesn't make a noise. He just knows.
FOMO. Fear of missing out as a motherfucker. That's why everyone can't go to sleep at night, Kenneth. We're like, something's gonna happen and I have to be here to see it, or I don't want tomorrow to come. And that's the
he probably saw his dad's tax return on TurboTax and he's probably pissed,
stressed out.
I would be stressed.
He wanted new toys, goddammit.
No, man, it's just going to investments. I'm not doing anything else crazy. But what's next for you, Mike? What's coming up next in your life? What's something cool besides I think you already talked about the Eat Shroom site. I got to come down there and do some shrooms with you, man. I'll bring them.
Perfect. Yeah, you're in Colorado, so you got that access.
Oh, fuck yeah. Well, I get them from Tennessee. My guy mails them from Tennessee.
Oh, so nice. Yeah, my first year and a half of mushrooms, I got them all from a guy in Tennessee.
We might have the same guy.
It could be.
I'm not going to say his name.
I'll send you the message.
I'll send you the message.
Send me a message on Signal.
I will. I have Signal. I will. or WhatsApp.
Yeah,
Well,
hit me
WhatsApp's
up.
not decrypted anymore, but
Yeah, we can do that. Come on out. We'll have a good time.
I'm gonna go pick up
And
Steve so he can come watch.
yeah, dude. I also have a friend, and
Well, I'm only in San Antonio, so it's not a. I could probably pick you up from the airport, and we'll go to Mike's.
there you go.
That's fair.
That's how that works. And then don't worry, I'll be dad because I can't do anything, so I'll just be the lookout,
And barbecue.
sober lookout.
Oh,
No,
fucking barbecue.
I don't need a baby.
I'll bring my wife. She'll do edibles or some shit with you guys.
Last time, remember what happened to Steve? You remember? She cried. I told her she was gonna cry. She cried like a baby in the corner.
That sounds to me like a her problem, not a me.
It really was. But go ahead, Mike. What were you saying?
I mean, where you want to do mushrooms is Oaxaca, Mexico.
Oh fuck yeah!
I got a buddy down there. That's all he does is take people through like 2-day, like it's like 3 days total of being down there. But he has like 2 days of ceremony with the mushrooms, and it's just amazing.
Dude, that's gonna be all. I will do that. I will take off time in the summer, and I will go. Hey, Mike, what you doing?
I might already be down there. It's one of
Oh.
it's one of the places I love to be.
Fair.
Come hang out.
Kenneth said it sounds stressful. It's not stressful, Kenneth. It's just you have to know what you're going into. Okay, so let me describe it this way. Let's pretend that your emotions are inside of a fort, and that fort's walled by like 14-foot-inch walls. Those mushrooms go through and just calmly pick up those walls and open them for an extended period of time, and you're like, it's just flowing. And it's just happening. And you're like, oh, okay, that's, and you're rationalizing why you feel a certain way. And some of those things aren't cute and cuddly. Some of it's some of the dark shit you repressed down for a long period of time. Whatever it is, afterwards, you usually you feel pretty clean and pretty, exercised of your demon, so to speak.
Yeah. And I suggest, like, if anyone has, I mean, I think everybody would get a lot more benefit if they did it with a skilled facilitator.
Yeah.
If you have any concerns that it's going to be difficult and you want whatever, there are therapists, there are coaches, there are facilitators, shamans. Yes, you need to practice discernment with who you're working with, because you're basically doing like it can be heavy stuff. But if you have a good facilitator, you're going to be fine, and you'll probably really enjoy it, and your life will be forever better because of it.
Yeah, true.
Well, hey boys, I'm sure you guys can hear him in the corner, but I will sign off. I'll let Ken figure this ending out. Mike, it was really good getting to talk to you. Next time we do this, I'll have my dogs babysitting.
All right. Good to hang out, Steve.
All right, good talking to you guys.
Bye, Steve. There you go. Go ahead, Mike. Continue what you were saying. Sorry.
I don't know what I was saying.
I was like, what was next? And you were like, yeah, and I went into the mushroom tangent again, but let's
get off the tangent, howtoeatmushrooms.com. And then I also have schoolfortheliving.com.
Schoolfortheliving.com.
School for the Living. Yeah, I still got to build out the website. I mean, there's a website on there, but it's just something I put together because I'm running a beta group through my course. So it's the first time I'm sending clients through this particular course.
Mm-hmm.
And we're a month in. They're loving it, getting great results. But I think it brings some systems thinking into personal development. So I think you'll appreciate it.
I'm going to appreciate that. I see you got 4 paradigms, and I'm like, okay, cool. This makes sense. A lot of it makes sense.
I think in models as well. So
yeah, this model looks like DBT.
Mm.
Looks kind of like DBT-ish, because it's like separating the kind of the physical from the emotional and going, how do these things kind of intersect, where they intersect? Yeah. And is it like an interpersonal problem or intrapersonal issue?
Yeah, this is from Ken Wilber's work.
Ah, nice.
So, that's the ACAL map. I simplified it
you
tremendously for our purposes. Yes. Yeah. So you'd appreciate it, but it's not going to satisfy, everything for you, because that video is for the average person. Just that concept for the average person is incredibly eye-opening.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, or you wouldn't be surprised, but a lot of the general population would be surprised at how many people don't know what intra and interpersonal skills are, and you tell them that they lack intrapersonal skills, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And and interpersonal skills, and they're kind of like, "I don't know what you mean by that." I'm like, "You need some emotional intelligence, my man or lady. It's not gender neutral. Just sit down and sit to yourself." I think I do 10 minutes per day, and we're trying to work up to 30, where I sit in a room or sit in my car, nothing, no sound. I just sit and just sit to myself, and whatever thought I have, I kind of think through it a little bit and move on. And I just keep doing that over and over again. And it's been really helpful, extremely helpful. And I am a complete 180 from who I used to be. I used to be super stressed out about everything. I used to think that every day was D-Day, and I needed to solve all my life's problems in one fell swoop. And I didn't understand the lessons I had learned in life and from the experiences I had in the Army, especially because that was most of my adult life up to this point. I didn't understand how to apply those to my life. And application is like really, really important. And it seems like what you're doing is you're helping people with the application process. People are, how do I put these things together? Well, here, we'll show you how.
Everything's
We'll help you.
practical.
Yeah.
I like to work with people. I give them 30 minutes a day.
Nice.
Do this for 30 minutes, and it's every day is different, and it builds, but everyone's got 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. If you look at Outlook, I kind of have my Outlook calendar for workup, and it's in 30-minute intervals. It's that way for a reason. You don't need to, and you cannot focus on something for more than 30 minutes. If it takes up more than 30 minutes of your time, then you should probably simplify it into further pieces, because you're not breaking it down to its simplest parts. So I don't know, that's an old PMP Lean Sigma 6 thought process that I had there. So.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. I'm gonna let you go over here, but you are an amazing human being. Holy crap. If you want to send anybody else our way, if your experience here was good, dude, send them our way. Just say, hey, it's two dudes that just like to sit down and talk. One of them has a baby from time to time. He's here. He's there and
thoroughly enjoyed it. I appreciate y'all having me on. This has been a really fun, relaxed conversation.
I hope so. We've had some growing pains over we're not even a year old, and I have these grandeur expectations of what we should be at this point, but I realize that it's all just step by step. 1 year in isn't a lot.
No.
If you're getting 100 views, if you're getting 50 views an episode at 1 year in, you're doing pretty damn good. So
Yep. It's there's a lot out there.
Yeah.
It's not like when I started my first podcast.
And and they're like,
we were the only ones doing what we were doing.
Yeah, it's
no one else is talking about strength and conditioning for CrossFit.
Yeah, I need to get into that more. I need to educate myself on more of that aspect, like more than I already have, because I just need to learn more. I was like, I always had this thought process in my head from my grandfather, who, he laid brick his whole life. He was like, if you spent a whole day and didn't learn anything, you kind of wasted that day, grandson. And I'm like, well, fuck. I heard this when I was 5. And it does make sense. But Mike, you're a great dude. If you need anything from us, please reach out, holler at us, DM us your address so we can send you a pair of sunglasses. We got to get rid of some from our last sponsor, was Gooder. So we got to get rid of a bunch of them. I got a box behind me. So shoot that address to us. If you need anything, again, reach out to us. We're going to link everything that you do. Hopefully, if we can fit it all in the bio for this episode on YouTube and on on Spotify and everywhere else. We have a central website, Buzzsprout, and once we put everything in there, it automatically links, and you can share that with as many people as you want. So about 30 minutes from now, your episode will be live everywhere.
Cool.
Congratulations. You have one more history of you out there, one more volume.
I love it. I like podcasting as much as possible, because it is you get sharper every time.
Yeah, because somebody is gonna listen to it. Also, somebody's gonna listen to it, and it might change your life. Might help them.
It might. Might.
Yeah, practice makes perfect, I guess. All right, I appreciate it, Mike. I'm gonna let you go. It's been a pleasure, and peace.
All right, talk soon.